como quem reza e procura nas sombras da noite escura uma perdida.
Hay una cosa que me interesa muchísimo. Como editor, con mucha frecuencia estoy recibiendo manuscritos de novelas que están a punto de ser adaptadas al cine. Y con mucha frecuencia son malas novelas. En realidad son un guión de cine disfrazado de novela. Se te olvida la mayoría de las cosas que cuenta esa historia, etcétera, y te das cuenta de que hay muchos escritores que ya están pensando en la película cuando están escribiendo su novela, que están escribiendo en realidad el guión de cine, no la novela. Hay un personaje en La Guerra de Hart, el protagonista, que tiene que literalmente excavar en la tierra, en el campo de concentración, para encontrar la verdad. Yo creo que Katzenbach trabaja sus personajes y sus novelas con ese mismo recurso, no en la superficie pensando en la sala de cine, sino cavando, excavando, excavando para encontrar los personajes. Yo te quería preguntar, ¿podrías hablar un poco de la relación entre tus novelas y sus adaptaciones? Me gustaría mucho saber qué opinas de algunas de ellas y también cuál es la que más te gusta. Y hay una cosa muy interesante, en alguna de tus entrevistas, porque he leído muchas, dijiste que alguna de esas adaptaciones al cine no te gustaba porque había perdido, era como si lo literario se hubiera evaporado al pasar al cine, se quedó solo la acción, no el gran trabajo que hiciste para construir los personajes en ese libro. Quiero ver si nos hablas un poquito de ese humo, de ese algo nebuloso que es lo literario.
I want to be very diplomatic. The problem with first off, we start at the beginning. Okay. Any novelist, any writer who writes a story or a book with a movie in mind is crippling himself from the start, because almost invariably the scenes that you write that you think are the most cinematic are the ones that some idiot screenwriter throws away the first minute. That was not diplomatic. That sounded bitter too. But the problem in most of the adaptations of my work has been that there is the screenwriter does not invest himself in the story to the same degree that I do, and really to the same degree that the director and even the actors want to bring to it. And so that is where most adaptations fail, is in that initial step. And that's certainly been my experience. Not my fault. Anyway, because I have been disappointed in the films made from my books. When I wrote a book in 2004, The Madman's Tale, La Historia del Loco, I was very fond of the character, the main character in that book, and so I quite arrogantly said to the Hollywood people, the movie people, that I would only sell it as a movie if I got to write the screenplay, naively thinking, how hard can it be? So, 8 years later, I've worked harder on this than on any book, and we're finally going to film it this fall. And what I learned was that a screenplay has a completely different energy than a novel. And what works on the page of a book will not necessarily work on a screenplay. And so you have to find a different way of bringing the same depth to the characters. And that proved to be very difficult. So, after saying all these bad things about all the movies that have been made out of my books, when they start filming this fall, I'll get to see whether, whether all the nasty things I've said, could apply to me as well. So I'll come back in a few years and I'll stand up here and I'll say, yes, the worst adaptation was the one I did myself. It's very possible. The fact is, when you do see a really good adaptation, it is because the same heart has gone into the creation of the film. And that's a very rare thing. Very rare thing. Curiously enough, it's more common in outside of Hollywood. Hollywood wants to make Spider-Man and Superman and Iron Man and maybe someday they'll make Reporter Man. But the trouble with those films are, and we all go to see them, and I admit to, paying my money to go see Robert Downey Jr. fly through the air, but from the point of view of suspense, well, we know the Spider-Man's going to kind of get beaten up, and it's going to be kind of nasty for him for a while, but we really don't think he's going to, end up, dead on the sidewalk, do we? So there's really no inherent suspense in these stories. I have to say that in the movies that I like, and certainly the books that I write, you all don't know. I may just kill somebody off. And so that you can create suspense because of uncertainty. And really there's no uncertainty about Spider-Man, is there?
Sí. Una de las cosas que me asombran del estilo de señor Katzenbach es que en algunas de sus novelas no hay ni siquiera un disparo ni una explosión y podemos prescindir casi de las cosas que ocurren en la calle, de las cosas visibles, porque lo importante es el interior de los personajes que están ahí en lucha, y eso es algo impresionante que no se ve en muchísimas novelas. No en balde, dice Katzenbach que uno de sus novelistas favoritos es Dostoyevsky, con Crimen y Castigo, o Los Miserables, ¿no? Alguna vez dijiste que el inspector Javert de Los Miserables es uno de tus personajes favoritos. ¿Podrías hablar de qué otros personajes te interesan de la literatura universal? Yo sospecho que el Conde de Montecristo debe ser uno de ellos, porque el psicoanalista para mí es una versión contemporánea del Conde de Montecristo, donde el personaje tiene que morir, resucitar, para poder vengarse de quienes lo quisieron matar.
Yes. Well, yes. It creates tension when someone has to remake themselves. I have over the years found that there are a lot of different writers that have influenced me, and certainly those you mentioned have. When I was young, I was 17 when I first read Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, and I went out and I acquired from a third-hand shop an extremely long black overcoat that hung all the way to my ankles, and for a week I walked around as if I had an axe under the overcoat, the way Raskolnikov did. that might have been taking things a little too far. But Dickens, people say that I write books that are psychological thrillers. All good books should be psychological thrillers. All books should make you want to turn the page. Every book should be exciting. Should be you should want to know. I remember not much older than Crime and Punishment when I remember reading all of Dickens's Great Expectations in a single night. Started and I couldn't put it down. But the authors that and there are many authors. It's hard to write a book, so I tend to admire most writers. You want to read a good book? I don't know what the translation in Spanish is, but John Fowles's The Magus. The Magus.
Sí, de John Fowles.
John Fowles.
El Mago, de John Fowles, está en anagrama.
That's a good book. Exciting, tension, violent, not violent. I mean, that's good. When I grow up, I want to be as good a writer as John Fowles. Yeah.